Another episode of Back Porch Conspiracy Edition. Conspiracy. Oh, I miss you, baby. I miss you ever since you've been running. Miss you, baby. I miss you more than indoor plumbing.
Not possible.
That's it. That's all I got. So
I think that's just gonna get worse.
I got to take these off. I can't do the whole thing with the sunglasses.
There's gonna be a lot
Actually,
of noise
maybe I
in
can.
the mic
The lights are kind of bright, but people got to be able to see my expressive countenance.
And well, I wear my sunglasses at night, so I can watch you eat and breathe and sleep all the live long day. Or however
That's not how it goes. All right, so we're gonna talk about this. The alien thing has been hot lately.
Space ones.
The space ones, yeah. We already did the immigration episode, so there's a lot going on with aliens these days. Now, we got the guy testifying before Congress, and there's a lot.
We got a lot of people testifying.
Yeah, there's a lot going on, but
there were the fake aliens in where was it? New Mexico.
Well,
fake it when they had the.
Oh, we forgot the scotch.
When they had they brought the alien exoskeletons or whatever out.
Yeah, but they weren't. They were fake though.
They
were from. They were from some sort of Mexican musical production, something like that. No. But before we start, that's yours.
I can tell.
Salud, Chendan. Before we start, I got to tell you this story. I was. And I know you're an opera fan. You go to the opera, right? You've been to operas.
I opera.
Mm-hmm. You're opera. Which one you've seen? You saw the one we saw in New York. The one we saw in New York with the artist in Paris. And she dies in the end.
Yeah, I've seen two. The names escape me. I wasn't planning on
the name. Yeah,
the escapes name me.
So I went to the opera a couple weeks ago, and yeah, it was a. Now I know that operas they feel like they're pretty long sometimes. This one was about aliens. It was about aliens. It was about aliens coming to Earth. It was this whole operatic thing, and
was this a rock opera?
No, it's just an opera, but. And operas, they get long. They can feel pretty long. But this one,
that's what she said.
But this one was especially long. I knew that it was getting really long when they got all the way to Aria 51.
What?
Aria, like the 51st aria in the opera.
Welcome to Saving the Dream. This is your host, Michael O'Sullivan, and the man in second seat is the one who has to put up with everything.
All right, so where's my trusty iPad Pro? Here it is. So the first thing about that I caught my attention recently is this guy was testifying before the Congressional Committee. This just happened within the last few weeks, I think. The guy's name is Stephen Greer. And
I think this happened 5 months ago.
Was it 5 months ago? Hold on. Let me check the authoritative source here. X, formerly known as Twitter. Hold on, I got it right here. Was it 5 months ago? I thought it was just in the last few weeks. Here
You're
it is.
Right.
No, November 12th. Well, this was posted. I don't know when he was testifying, but his name is Stephen Greer, and he's testifying testifying before a U.S. congressional committee. So, right away, it's got to be at least a little bit legit. I mean, he's testifying before.
It's at least a money laundering scheme.
At a bare minimum. Now, I looked him up. Stephen Greer, he is, he's got his own Wikipedia page. And he is a ufologist.
Yes. They took an acronym and added
I don't know, how do you say, do you say ufologist?
Hey.
A ufologist.
I need a little more scotch for
he's
that
he's a ufologist. Now, but lest you think he's some sort of a quack.
Whose folage is he gisting?
Lest you think that he's some sort of a, quack. He's also a physician. Well, no, that doesn't help. He's kind of been fighting this whole UFO transparency thing since the 90s when he started this organization, sometimes called SETI, but I forget what it's. But anyway, he's been campaigning for the whole transparency from the government, because, of course, we now know that.
I don't want transparency from the government.
Yeah, it seems like that's the last
Keep
thing.
it there.
It's best if we don't know.
Buy all the billion-dollar Jeeps you need.
Just don't leave them in other countries, especially if they're not friendly countries.
Don't leave them with our enemies.
Yeah, or anyone else's enemies. So he's giving this testimony in front of this congressional committee, and we watched it earlier. And for 8 minutes, the dude is rattling off a lot of very specific information about. And he's looking at his notes, but he's not reading from his notes. And he's, a lot of very specific information about places and histories and times and names of people and what was found and what's being done in lots of different facilities. And he was most recently in charge of some sort of project he was commissioned by Congress to go do this investigation, because Congress is now starting to say, what's up with all this alien shit? Like, what are you not? It reminds me of that scene in Independence Day, where the president goes, where he says to
Schmucko.
what's his name?
No.
The old Jewish guy.
Oh, the gay guy?
No, the father.
Oh.
He's like, you knew then,
I think the gay guy
and you
was Jewish,
did
too.
nothing.
Yeah.
Don't you say that to my David. And the president goes, believe me, there is no Area 51.
No area.
And the CIA guy goes, well, that's not exactly accurate. So this is what it kind of reminds me of. This guy, Stephen Greer, he's talking and he's like, there was this and there was this and there was this. And he goes all the way back to he goes all the way back to, what's his name? Tesla. Not the car, but the original Tesla. And it's pretty convincing. I don't know. What did you think? And his whole thing is, all this has been going on, and the government has got these vehicles that we shot down, which maybe wasn't a good idea, and we got biological parts and pieces of creatures, and we've been studying all this stuff, and we've been reverse engineering, and it's been going on all over the place. And
we'll include a link to that video or an article.
Yeah,
because it's show notes.
It's good. So all right. So you
reference
listen to that guy. You tend to be even more skeptical than me. So what do you think when you listen to him? Stephen Greer.
Like, everything from our perspective, like everything he says, we can't refute because we don't have any alternative knowledge. Really, it's all. It's like if someone explains to you the entire theory of the math of how we got to black holes. Mm-hmm. We can't say, I don't know about that one part.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's just
I was just making sure we're recording.
like that's my job.
I know, but it's over here.
Yeah, I'm off. So I think it's just like with what he brought forward, like it all sounds legit.
But why would he like fabricate?
Well, people have been fabricating alien pseudo knowledge and pseudo silence for publicity.
Science. Pseudoscience?
What did I say?
Pseudo silence. I think you said silence.
You're right. I said silence.
The
I meant
silence,
science.
2 good letters.
And
Different conspiracy.
so people have been creating fake shit about aliens for publicity. That's now what would be his motive behind it? I don't know.
Well, and he would have to. It's he covers a lot of ground, a lot of very specific references to people and places and things at different times. And
yeah, but it sounds specific to us, you know, because we don't have any alternative information. So we can't really.
Okay, fair. So we can't really.
However, I will add something. He helped bring forward the whistleblower. I forget his name, but the whistleblower who came from the it's called the Ice Cube, which is a
rap.
It's a science. It's a science. It's a lab in Antarctica, and its purpose is to what we're told. Its purpose is to gather information and capture and study. Try to capture and study the behavior of new look up the Ice Cube Antarctica. They're called new
First I gotta let the cat in.
and that's not a euphemism.
Keep talking. I have to let the actual cat into the house. This is a real back porch, ladies and gentlemen. It's not a set.
No, it's all happening as we speak. It's to capture these molecules, these atoms, whatever the specific science term is.
Those tiny things.
Yeah, the real. Hey, don't. You know I'm sensitive about that.
Ice Cube.
To capture neutrinos.
Those are smaller than atoms.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
really little guys.
And there was a whistleblower who came out of that plant.
Speaking of whistleblower, last time we had an actual whistleblower.
Yes.
Coming from that direction over there, somebody has taken his whistle away. He's dead. Maybe he's dead. I don't know. I gotta believe it was a little kid, so I hope he's not dead. But I'm glad he's not blowing a whistle. So the whistleblower,
he came out and he claims that they are harvesting information on neutrinos for various needs, for very potentially malicious needs. One being to control aircraft or cars, automobiles, because.
Well, the guy Stephen Greer was talking something about that.
Yeah,
about we don't really need engines.
Because he
yeah. Oh, you're right.
Because he helped helped bring this whistleblower to Congress.
Find the whistle.
And to blow. And another malicious use is to cause earthquakes, because supposedly certain testing they were doing, there were earthquakes at the same time, but also
fires.
But also one of the things, a lot of it is kind of like what Greer was saying. A lot of stuff is like, okay, yeah, I guess, yeah, you're right, because I don't know anything else. But one convincing or stark thing that he brought forward were green lasers being emitted into the sky. And this was,
where have we heard about
a couple years ago. I don't remember how long ago it was, but it was some time ago. And then all of a sudden now we've got videos and reports of the fires in Hawaii having
Careful, we wanna be on
potentially
YouTube.
being started by these green lasers.
We're not saying that they're being started. We're just saying that other people have said that. So this is not misinformation. We're not declaring it to be so.
Let it be misinformation.
It is true information that some people have said that is what happened. That is true information.
He's a lawyer in his spare time.
By the way, you got a little thing right here in your beard.
I know. I went to the Ren Festival for the first time.
How was it? The Renaissance.
Let's different aliens. Different aliens. Actually, no. At those things, it's always there's nerds and there's party people, and the nerds are way better than the party people. Party people suck. I almost beat up an old lady.
The old lady was the party person?
She was one of them. She was many sheets to the wind.
Yeah, well.
I almost gave one of these.
I've certainly never been there.
Because equal rights, equal fights.
Yes. All right, back to the aliens.
So, a lot of things he said was like, okay, yeah, sure. Can't really speak on it. You sound convincing.
Right. So, here's the way I look at it. I get your point. Like, he's not saying anything. Like, we don't really have anything to refute it. He sounds authoritative, but he could be full of shit. So I look at it more in terms of logically. What's the opposite of refute?
Afute.
Afute? Can I afute this or refute this? So the first thing, if it were true that aliens have been here and the government is, reverse engineering their technology and, trying to stitch their body parts back together, whatever it is they're doing, and they're covering it up, because why would they want us to know about it? If that's true, then that would mean that the first thing that's required for that to be true is there has to be other civilizations in the universe. And there has been different scientific viewpoints on this. Mathematicians, physicists have tried to, there's the famous Drake equation where they try to calculate the probability that life, intelligent, advanced life, has evolved somewhere. I was going to say besides here, but really I ought to just say anywhere. Somewhere there's intelligent, advanced life. And they've tried to say, based on, I don't know how, when mathematicians and physicists do the math on these very large probabilistic things, it hurts my head to think about how they do it. But the Drake equation said, probably made it seem like it was unlikely. But there were some very large unknowns, uncertainties in the Drake equation. It looks like we're attracting bugs. Our lights are attracting bugs out here. There's some serious moths.
Kamikazes.
But these guys, and of course, Einstein's theory of special relativity. It's my first scotch. I can't even say relativity. Here's an article on that, actually, that I was reading, just to brush up on my knowledge. It's been a long time since that physics class that I didn't go to. So
Einstein taught it.
Here's an article in space.com. Einstein's theory of special relativity. It's like normal relativity, but special. That's what it says here. That's not even a joke I came up with. The theory includes a way for the speed of light to define the relationship between energy and matter. Small amounts of mass can be interchangeable with enormous amounts of energy. Sure, we all know that. Anyway, here's the part of it that pertains to this speculation. As an object approaches the speed of... Oh, wait, I'm on the wrong thing. This is about traveling. I got ahead of myself. Because that's the second thing. The second thing is, are they out there? No, the first thing... Fuck. The first thing is, are they out there? And the second thing is, can they get to us? I mean, in order for the government to be covering this up. First, they have to be out there, and secondly, they have to get to us. So if we can be reasonably sure or unsure about either one of those two things, and it helps us deduce whether or not the government is really pulling the wool over our eyes. So the relativity has to do with how they get here. Before we get to that, there's here it is. I clicked on the wrong one. It was just a slight little mistake. This is very carefully scripted out. Are we alone in the universe? Revisiting the Drake equation. And these guys, this by the way is on the NASA website, nasa.gov, on a subdomain called Exoplanets. So I'm not really up to speed on what an exoplanet is. I can kind of guess at it. But apparently the whole exoplanet thing has introduced a whole new probability that there could be.
Because I think exoplanets are ones that closely resemble Earth, or ones that could very easily
It's kind of far away.
support life.
Okay, is that what they are? Exoplanets?
I think so.
I thought they were just planets on the outside as opposed to, like an exoskeleton.
Yeah. Read
Okay.
the thing.
Are humans unique and alone in the vast universe? The question summed up in the famous Drake equation has for half a century been one of the most blah, 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 blah. But a new paper shows that the recent discoveries of exoplanets outside of our solar system, combined with a broader approach to the question, make it possible to assign a new empirically valid probability to whether any advanced technological civilizations have ever existed. Anyway, you read on, and what you find out is they kind of took a different way of looking at the thing, and they did the math kind of from the reverse. Instead of saying what's the probability that they exist, they basically said what's the floor, what's the probable floor that says it has to be less likely than this for them to not exist, and that turns out to be a very, very small number, like 1 in a gazillion. And so their conclusion is, according to this math, it's probably likely that somewhere in the universe, there's some technologically advanced civilization. By technologically, we don't necessarily mean like flying saucers. We just mean like they're not a primitive species. So you follow my logic on that? So it means that they could be out there. Or at least we can't just dismiss. We can't just go, they're probably not out there. Drake equation, it's unlikely. We're the only ones. I don't think we can do that. So they're out there. Let's just say they're out there.
Yes.
Okay. Are you a believer yet?
Yes.
Okay,
we'll go
good.
for the sake of argument.
Yeah. So then you get to the next question, which is, well, if they're out there, can they get here? And in order to do that in any sort of reasonable amount of time, you have to be able to travel at, light speed or near light speed. And that's where the theory of relativity says, hold on there, partner. Einstein he lived in Texas for a long time, so he kind of got that draw. Hold on there, partner. He said, as an object approaches the speed of light, its mass becomes infinite, and so does the energy required to move it. So that means, hell no, you cannot. We're not going to get to light, because even if we could get to the near light speed, I think I read somewhere that it would require, the amount of energy would be equal to the mass of Jupiter. So that's a lot.
Right, and also with the theory of relativity, that one of the issues, if I remember or even understood correctly, it's that one of the issues is cause and effect. So basic example is the light won't turn on before you flip the switch.
Right.
So that's part of the logical issues that come with traveling faster than the speed of light as it relates to the theory of relativity. And I don't remember what it is or where I read. I don't remember. I didn't know we were getting so into theory of relativity, but the issues with that theory have been, if I remember correctly, have been addressed and attempted at or been corrected.
corrected. Can't correct Einstein. He's Einstein. No, but I know what you mean. So, and yeah, but here's what I'm getting to. Popular Mechanics just recently, well, I don't know. This is written by Eric Adams. Isn't he the guy that wrote Hitchhiker's Guide?
No.
That's Adam.
Where are you getting at?
A warp drive breakthrough that could make interstellar travel possible. Scientists now know how we can travel faster than the speed of light. They're not so sure about how to steer yet, but we could travel. And if you read this, what it explains, these guys, some physicists have figured out that, I'm going to give you the quick version, is that because they were studying some stuff at the quantum level, right? Subatomic level, quantum level, and things work differently at the quantum level.
Yes.
And they figured out that you could generate a space-time bubble around an object, and that object could be inside the space-time bubble, while the bubble itself is moving at any speed. It could be moving at the speed of light or faster by basically like expanding and compressing space-time, and the object inside wouldn't suffer the consequences of special relativity because it would not be experiencing the motion at that speed. Anyway, it's a fascinating article. So that says now they say it could be a long time before we figure out how to do this in practice. But the point is that theoretically it's possible. So now back to my two questions: is the government lying to us? Have they found shit that they're not telling us about, or have we shot down some stuff, which I want to get to? Well, first of all, these guys, the little green men, have to exist. And secondly, they have to be able to get here. And according to this modern view, both of those things are at least theoretically possible. So we can't dismiss this idea that the government cover-up purely on the basis of it's fantasy thinking that these guys are out there and that they came here. What do you think? It doesn't mean they have, but it's possible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and if they were here, if we have interacted with them, then the government would definitely be lying to us. There's been lots of examples of that. We won't get into, but the famous one is Bob Lazar.
Who?
Bob Lazar.
What was that?
Reading about aliens, and
there's a wild pack of dogs over here. No Whistle Kid, but we got the wild dog pack. Bob Lazar.
Yeah, Bob
Lazar. It sounds familiar. I can't put my finger on it.
I think it was in New Mexico. He was the guy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and it's a big long story. Definitely worth reading into. He was on Joe Rogan's show. Rogan was great at asking questions. Mm-hmm. So yeah, like there's no doubt. I mean, of course, if they have been here, then the government would be hiding them and lying to everyone.
So whoops,
making so much noise.
I know I am. Sorry. So, but let's talk about that for a second. Why? I understand the government initially covering up something like that because, they're skittish, and every time there's something new that they don't like, we can't tell the people about this, But usually, for most things, after a while, after 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, it gets out. They, somehow they find some way to unveil it to the public in a controlled manner. If this is true, if what Stephen Greer says is true, and some other people, then this has been going on for, 50, 60, 70 years. Why does it keep...
Because you keep fucking with it.
What? Why would they, like... It seems like by now, they would tell us.
Well, it's it's an extension of the space race. Maybe what the space race has been about all along.
So
yeah, they're competing with all the other countries.
So the reason why we didn't really go to the moon was because we didn't need to. Because we were already way ahead of that. So NASA was like,
well, I mean, we had
why
those...
spend all this money to actually go to the moon just to make people think this is where we're at, when in fact we're way ahead of all that. We could go, we could leave the solar system if we wanted. So let's just like shoot this moon thing over here where it's cheaper and easier.
Right. And I mean, if you're the government of one of the most powerful countries in the world,
too much talking,
then you're gonna like we're as civilians, we are how far behind are we compared to the government and what they have? Like, if the government learns something, discovers something, they're not going to let that out to the public until they've developed it or milked it enough for themselves. And then we get what they first had however many years ago.
Yeah, so a good example is...
Hey.
Footsie thing there. Good example, the SR-71 Blackbird was the successor to the U-2 spy plane. The U-2 was pretty amazing, and it flew in the 50s. Now, it wasn't super fast. It only flew at 400 and some odd miles an hour, which actually in the 1950s, if you think about what people were flying around in the 50s, whatever, McDonnell Douglas DC something or other with the props, not even turboprops, with the prop planes. They were flying a couple hundred miles an hour or whatever that was, and you got this U-2 spy plane. What was impressive about it was not that it flew at, the 400 miles an hour was, but it flew at 70,000 feet, compared to everybody else flying it. Today's jets, you get on a plane today, it flies at whatever, 30,000 feet. Back then you were flying at, I don't know whatever it was, 15,000 feet. But then the SR-71 came along. Now, reportedly, the first test flight was in 1965, which makes me think, okay.
That's when they decided to tell us.
That's when they told us about it, right? And it was doing like Mach 2. So 2 times the speed of sound. The speed of sound varies depending on temperature, but it's roughly 700 something miles an hour. So this thing is flying at 1,500 miles an hour in 1964. But it wasn't known. Like, they didn't talk.
Yeah.
Like, nobody knew about the SR-71. I don't know. It was like till the 70s or something like that. But there again, it was like 10 years later. It wasn't 60 years later, 70 years later. But you were getting onto something there a minute ago, which was, you didn't say this, but I think where you were headed was, but if we want to weaponize it, whatever this technology is, whatever this discovery is, then we would keep it a secret for a long time.
Well, and think about how weapons and war have changed. Everything's become very, what's the word? Secretive, spy, intelligence. War has become what am I trying to say? Like spies and
clandestine
intelligence.
Yeah.
And gathering information.
Yeah, information is, yeah. Well, and I guess there's a point too, which is, you tell the people, you tell society, hey, everybody, it turns out there's a plane that flies 2 times the speed of sound. We've had it for 15 or 20 years. You didn't know. Sorry. Everybody goes, oh, no shit. Well, that's something. You tell everybody, hey, everybody, guess what? Aliens were here. We shot them down. We've been reverse engineering their technology, but sorry, we didn't tell you about it. Everybody goes, holy shit. Like, it could be, the reaction could be much different, I guess.
Yeah, and also I I don't think they're really concerned about civilian reaction. It's since
Other countries?
since war has become whatever the word is. Comment below what the hell I'm trying to think of here. But since war has become sly and secretive and
Right.
intelligence,
Right.
spies and everything, the development has to stay like that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, way back in the beginning of war, it was whoever could make the longer sword.
Yeah, or the more, the most people, so you have the
And-
last man standing.
Right, and you just look over and see, all right, that's how much they've got, or that's how long his sword is, and you're jealous about it because he's swinging it around. But now, since the war has gone like undercover, the development has to follow that.
Yeah, it has to stay below the surface. Okay, so that explains why they're keeping it a secret, probably.
Also, then you have to consider,
And we saw Men in Black.
and you have to consider the buyer's market for it. Selling things and how much you're selling things for, and what you're trading things. You don't want your competitors to know.
Yeah. Yeah. By the way, latest Mission Impossible movie, which I know you haven't seen yet. It pushes the pedal to the metal on that whole idea. All right. So you're right. It's a continuation of the space race. The Russians get there before us. We get there before them. Now it's like, who can reverse engineer the alien shit faster than somebody else to make things now. But here's the other thing that I thought about as I was reflecting on all these possibilities. So one of the claims that Stephen Greer makes, and other people have said, is that we have these alien spacecraft, and he doesn't say we have like one or two of them. He says, what is it, like a dozen or something, or 18 or something like that. Apparently, we decided to shoot them down. Was that the smartest thing to do? Shoot them down? I mean, either they were presenting a threat, and that's why they got shot down, or we just decided, shoot that shit down. Which doesn't seem like isn't that how you start a war? By shooting the other guy's shit down out of the sky before you even know why they're here?
Well, you got to give... People always act like governments and militaries are super restless and, there's just a trigger-happy guy. But it's not. You got to give them... These are people running the world. Like, or at least running the biggest, most successful countries in the world. You got to give them...
So if they shot
them
them down, they must have had a good reason to shoot them down. They didn't just...
It's not just...
Toplessly
I mean,
shoot 'em.
come on. The Chinese had a freaking weather balloon, intelligence balloon, flying over the Midwest of America.
And we waited before we shot it down.
For days.
Well, it's because we had to upload a lot of like fake shit to it first before we shot it down.
Had to unload Hunter Biden's laptop.
That's had to go somewhere.
Okay, wait.
I got it.
98.
I got it.
99. Oh, it's...
Like in all that movies where...
It's saying 48 minutes, damn it.
In all those movies where you see a little bar and like uploading.
Dun, 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 dun. 2 days? What? 2 days? It's only 1,000 gigabytes of porn.
Or they were waiting for the cryptocurrency exchange to complete.
Governments were never involved in cryptocurrency.
No. Why would they be? So... All right, so
some dude with greasy long hair is into cryptocurrency. He's not the same thing that the government is into. Like the crypto bros.
Perhaps. That's another episode. So, all right, so let's say we shot him down. We had good reason to shoot him down. I got to believe somebody out there is not going to be happy about that. And I think it's too soon to tell. If it's only been 50 years, I mean, it takes time for... I mean, these guys are a long way away. Radio signals, whatever, take a long time to travel. It could be a long time before they realize that their guys are dead. Their ships are, in some sort of...
Well, assuming
they're gonna have to send somebody to find out, like with the whales in Star Trek. They got to send somebody to find out what the hell happened.
Yeah. Yes.
So we could be in danger, which brings up...
I don't know how much. I think, hot take, the business of governments, the gap between the business of governments and the business of civilians is widening.
The gap.
So, in other words, I think less of what the government is doing has anything to do with us. Was that necessary?
It was. Because it was in the way.
So, like...
I'm a fiddler. I'm a mic fiddler.
Like, the government's doing all this stuff,
Yeah,
and, I think less and less, the amount that doesn't concern us is growing.
Yeah, well, it has to be, because they're clearly not doing anything for us. So if they're doing anything, so either they're doing nothing, which seems unlikely, although some days.
If there's money to be made.
Either they're doing nothing, or they're doing shit that really has nothing to do with us and has to do with something else. Like what, though? World domination?
Well, that's always been the idea. We spoke about that briefly on an episode.
Okay. So
everybody wants
So here's
to
another thing
rule
is
the world. I did that part.
Okay. But with all of this globalization going on, and when did he come out again? I just let him in. He's out. How did he get out?
I couldn't tell you.
He's ready to go back in. With all this globalizing that's happening, with the WEF and the WEF, and isn't it so? Rather than these alien technologies being used, sort of like being hoarded by one government and kept under wraps because they want to have an advantage over other countries, isn't it more likely that they're all in on it?
Like conspiring together?
Mm-hmm.
You think globally that many people can come together?
No, that many governments. Well, just the major powers. The major powers, and what if all of these disagreements and skirmishes and wars and, okay, Russia, it's your turn to invade the Ukraine. China, act like you're mad at the U.S. Iran, act like you got nuclear weapons. But really what's happening, all of that is just like a show to make it look like we're all jockeying for position and control. But really what's happening is they're all working together with the aliens, some diabolical scheme.
Which is?
I don't know.
If it's not global domination.
It would be. Control the world. Which is why, okay, we got to introduce some crises. We got to have a climate crisis.
That much is obvious. But
we got to have a COVID thing. We got to have... Is it time for COVID yet? Next year COVID. Maybe it's all part of an intergalactic scheme to subdue the people of Earth.
An intergalactic scheme to subdue the people of Earth.
I'm saying it's possible. If you connect the dots, that's all I'm saying. If you connect the dots.
I don't know what you're saying.
Okay, so the aliens come here. They make some friends. You saw Men in Black, right?
Yes.
Okay. The aliens come here. They make some friends. And maybe this isn't the first place they've done it. Maybe these guys, they go to these different planets, and this is kind of how they help us, like, evolve to our next level of consciousness. Well, the first thing we have to do is we have to unify all this individualized bullshit that you got going on this planet. It needs to be one federation. You need to be like all one people on the planet, all controlled, and now we can help you. It's part of the, maybe there was like a brochure, and they said, look, this is what we can do for you. It's going to take about 100 years.
So aliens are helping world powers globalize.
Yes. That's just a middle step. It's kind of like socialism on the way to communism. Like, you got to do this first before you get to that.
Right.
Yeah.
But why?
Ultimate power.
For the aliens.
Somebody. Well, that's okay. You got a good point there. They could be duping us into thinking they're helping us evolve to a higher level of life, when in fact they're just like.
I think this goes back several million years to the planet Nibiru.
The planet what?
Nibiru. I think it's Nibiru. Nibiru. I think it's Nibiru. So the Nazis, common Nazi belief by some, is that many moons ago. God, you're just butchering that microphone.
Many moons.
Many moons ago, the planet Nibiru. Yes, the planet Nibiru. I think Nibiru. It's not a real word. Who cares?
This is Nazis?
Arrive. It passes Earth every whatever hundreds or thousands of years, and when humans were still primitive.
When? They were still? Okay, I'll go with you.
When humans were very, very primitive.
More primitive.
The government of the planet Nibiru passed by Earth, and it dropped off, the government of Nibiru dropped off a bunch of their Nibiruians or whatever. And Nibiruese. Oops. And to harvest the potential of the archaic humans.
See, now you're onto something.
And this isn't me. This is.
You sure this isn't Scientology?
It's what's the difference? If it's not Christianity, it's bullshit.
Okay. But this is the Backyard Conspiracy.
I'll go on record. I'll go.
Back Porch.
This isn't Back Porch. This is believers. This is like where the Aryan race comes from. The idea comes from. They dropped off some people to harvest and enslave the ancient humans. However, the Nibiruians on Earth,
easy for you to say,
made their own powers and their own government, and started befriending and coexisting, even having sex with these early humans. And when the planet Nibiru passed by again, they were very mad because they were intermingling with the dirty ones. And this is a horrible time to tune in right now because it's not.
This sounds like the story of the Nephilim in the Bible.
And so the Aryan race, the master race, are the Nibiruans on the planet Nibiru. And everything is that the Nazis were going after, supposedly, was to achieve and prepare for the return of the Nibewoians when they come back again.
The Namibians. How did they? So who came up with this?
I don't know.
Scheme?
I don't know. Hitler's gay buddy. I don't know.
Why's he got to be gay?
Because Hitler was gay.
You think so?
He was. No, he was.
He was.
Well, he
had a girlfriend.
So did Elton John.
Yeah, it's true.
But no, Hitler did have gay sex.
Are you sure about that?
You have to have gay sex if you run the world, if you're part of one of the world powers. Gay sex is part of the whole thing. It's part of the initiation, along with public embarrassment. That's when Will Smith became part of the Illuminati. When Chris Rock became part of the Illuminati with the public embarrassment of Will Smith going up and slapping
really?
him.
You think so?
That's the prevailing theory.
Among whom?
Theorists.
Hmm.
It's part of. It's part of the ritual of the Freemasons, or Masons.
Probably why Jeffrey Epstein did such a good business, I would guess. No, that was different.
Well, I think if you're,
I don't mean to make light of that.
I think part of being evil on that level is
Yeah, you just the whole thing.
children.
Yeah. Okay, we're getting into something that's way more intense than are the aliens here or not.
Well, you were talking about working in cahoots with aliens for Nibiru or something akin to it.
So the question is, when did these things become part of kind of the fabric of world leadership? Was that baked into humanity, or
what are you
was
talking
it?
about?
You know, these things you're talking about. Like, in order, if you want to, you gotta, the embarrassment and the weird sexual things. Was that like baked into humanity from the beginning, or was that something that was introduced by, let's say, outside visitors?
Well, I haven't done too much research into this, but there's some teaching, or at very minimum theory, in various Eastern Orthodox Christian sects.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm glad we cleared that up. That aliens, the outer space ones, are demons.
Oh yeah, sure.
And
aliens are demons, or demons are alien? I mean, like, what we know as demons are actually aliens, right?
no, that aliens are actually demons.
Oh.
And if you believe that, or if you know that globalization is evil, then oh, excuse me, I think I did that into the mic. Then
The foo is on the other shit.
Foo Fighter.
Finally. Little breeze.
It would make sense that they work with world powers, earthly world powers, to globalize the world for the destruction of humanity and open a portal to hell, like what they're doing in Antarctica.
Okay, you just said a whole bunch there. So, demons as aliens mount this approach Earth as aliens.
Well, I don't think they necessarily approach Earth as alien. I think it's the same thing.
Yeah, but
Like, I don't think
okay.
they're like disguising. I think that's
So
just,
if you stick with the
well, and when I say I think, I mean, oh, excuse me, in the I say I think as in inserting myself into that belief.
yeah, no. So demons, which if you stick with the traditional religious understanding, Christian religious understanding, or and other religions as well of demons, they're like spiritual beings, right? They're not like from another planet. They're from like the spiritual
Dimension
or whatever. But in order to be persuasive to the Earthlings, they arrive as people from another planet. And
well, I don't think that's how they present themselves to the world powers.
They say this is what you. Well, the world powers aren't presenting them to anybody else, so what would be the point of a con there?
Well, to keep the facade of these mysterious otherworldly beings.
Yeah, okay.
To us, so then we can go ooh ah, and not pay attention to the malicious, destructive intent.
But they're concealing their interaction with these beings from us anyway. So what would be the point of pretending that it's something that it's not when they're concealing?
Or because it gets out, because some gets out. So you have to have a fallback, a cover up.
Right.
For example,
Yes. I'm gonna need some more scotch for this.
Ryan
Gosling. Reynolds.
let me get his name. Ryan Graves.
Ryan Graves.
In the Air Force, he taught classes and such, and he was part of where they conducted trainings or tests or
Experiments.
where they, like this is a testing facility in the area where they like fly planes and such.
Yeah.
He on some fancy radar they have. You can look up Ryan Graves, his story. His story is the one where their cameras were picking up movements of this aircraft that would sometimes exhibit strange behavior for aircraft.
Like right angle turns and shit like that.
No. Yes. I'm 90 degrees, and various. It would be at an altitude where there's 140 mile an hour winds, but it would be completely stable. Or one that was really good.
Because they're in a warp bubble.
One that was really good was or odd was that whenever they can see, they can like measure the projection of an aircraft. I forget the term for it, but you can tell where, like by how the nose is pointed and where it's going and where it's projected to go.
Yeah.
And everything stays pretty straight. But this aircraft sometimes would go in a general direction, but it would teeter along the line, which is very unusual. It's not something that regular aircraft that they know of would do. Right. And it would also some of this aircraft, because this happened several times, would do these, what do you call it, race maneuver, I think. And it's this maneuver that an aircraft conducts where it's like on a racetrack where it goes straight, turns here, and then straight back, turns here, and that's how it maintains its position, because it can't do a full circle because that uses too much energy, so it does this.
Oh, yeah.
Does the race maneuver, and that is how it. The intent of that maneuver is to maintain a position, to survey it, or to post up or such.
Yeah, gotcha.
Ryan Graves, very interesting story.
So where are you going with this?
Where was I going with this? What was I saying?
Aliens coming, aliens coming to subdue. So they're going to be in cahoots with some globalists.
Yeah, so the point is that, to what you were saying before about the aliens or world powers being in cahoots with aliens, with alien demons, demon aliens, Demon Baby, that's from a movie. Demon Baby? I can't remember.
I don't. Yeah, something.
Demon Baby.
Demon Baby. No, is that a movie? So, all right. So
what was your point?
The possibility is that sometime in the past, could be in the last 50, 60, 80, whatever years, or what if it goes back farther? You know, we got a lot of...
Well, okay, so before you get to there, as what we mentioned in a previous episode with Delphina and Tony. And Tony, go check it out. People have always been trying to conquer the world.
Correct.
And that's been seen as a bad thing because people die and enslaved and everything. But that's been a form of, people say, oh, conquered the known world. Well, that's primitive globalization.
Yeah.
Alexander the Great was primitive globalization.
Right.
Egyptians had their hand at that, et cetera, et cetera. But suddenly now globalization is a good thing.
Right. So there was a time in history when anybody who wanted to, conquer / like
people have always been wanting to.
You were the one who said this. So it used to be called conquering. Now it's called like global unity or global
unity.
But it was always, there was a sense in the world before that, like, no. We're us over here. You stay out of our shit.
So
we stay out of your shit. You live.
So right now you got. You're saying, oh, the world powers and aliens are in cahoots with each other to take over the world.
We've established that.
There were world powers in cahoots with the aliens to take over the world, but there were people before wanting to take over the world.
Right.
To your point.
Right. Always there were.
And to your point, you're getting at?
Maybe the aliens were involved then. Somebody built those pyramids.
And Mexicans weren't in Egypt. If Mexicans were in Egypt, I'd be a little more convinced.
Although the Mexican pyramids are...
Ziggurats.
That's the Mayans, right? No, the Mayans are the ones... No, that's the Mayans.
Where were the Mayans?
No, the Mayans were in South America. Who?
Oh, yeah. Whatever.
Anyway, the Mexican pyramids...
They were all ziggurats.
The Mexican pyramids are not nearly of the precision or the grandeur or the size of the Egyptian pyramids.
True. Continue.
So maybe they just weren't
different aliens,
or maybe I don't know about that, but there are things from ancient history that are hard to explain.
And there's also we should do an episode on a conspiracy theory episode on ancient architecture, and weird thing, because there is a lot more to pyramids.
Yeah,
like a lot of really weird geometry things, globally relative.
So, all right. So the aliens / demons started this whole routine early on in American civilization, in Earth civilization. And
America.
And they made some headway, but we weren't yet. We didn't quite. You didn't have people yet who had the real frame of mind. You didn't have.
No. I think they had frame of mind, but they didn't have the facilities.
The technology wasn't here yet.
Because the frame of mind is to control the world.
Mm-hmm. But it wasn't until the 20th century, or maybe late 19th century, that with the beginning of Tesla, that you started to have, like, I could picture the aliens are going, okay, they're getting to where, like, we can really do something with this now. Like, they're starting to think the way we want them to think so that we can really execute this plan.
I think it goes back way before that.
Way before that.
With
I think the cold front is coming through.
The scientist. What's his name? He was in the. He might have invented the first helicopter.
Oh, Da Vinci?
Yes, Da Vinci. My thing fell off. Yeah, goes back to Da Vinci. I mean, technology has always been.
And let's not forget the other guy. The other guy. The guy was in the final Indiana Jones.
Yeah, it was Da Vinci.
No, that's not Da Vinci. Archimedes.
Oh, yes, Archimedes.
Archimedes. He knew some shit.
He did. I mean, that was time travel right there.
Mm-hmm.
Indiana Jones.
Well, so there's a funny thing, which is that if you look at what happens in movies over the years, we all are like, oh, yeah, that's in the movies. That's in the movies. But then, like, you hear these things that come out of the science community and the physicists and is it grooming time or what's going on?
Well, my thing fell out, so I had to fix it.
You had to. I didn't know that you had a beard comb.
Really? Because you bought this for me.
I did?
Mm-hmm.
I did not.
You're right, you didn't. Continue.
So these things were like, oh, Hollywood, that's just in the movies. But then you hear this shit from physicists and mathematicians and whatnot, and you go, huh? You're like, for example,
For example, like when you're a kid and you hear about sex in movies, and you're like, that's just in the movies, and then you learn the horrifying truth.
Okay.
What goes where? Why do we? Okay, the Swedish comedian made a very good point.
The Finnish.
The Finnish comedian made a very good point.
Iggy, or is it? What's his name? Iggy.
Same thing. He said, why? Over in America, we call it the birds and the bees, but everywhere else, supposedly, it's called birds and the flowers, bees and the flowers, flowers and the bees. Why is it birds and the bees? Because to his point, a bird has never fucked a bee.
or the other way around.
What was his name? I gotta get his name.
Izzy.
No, it's not.
Yeah, Iggy. Iggy. It's Iggy. It's not Iggy. So, but you hear these things in the movies.
Ismo.
Yeah. Izzy.
That's what you said.
Izzy.
Izzy.
Or is he not?
Is he human? Because I've heard the way they speak, and hell no.
Oh, that's because of who was that Chinese guy that conquered everything?
Hung Tao.
No, the Mongolian guy. The guy that went,
that Pope, what's his face?
No,
got him to turn away from.
Yeah.
From Rome. That's why he didn't take over Rome.
What am I thinking of? The barbarian conqueror guy, not barbarian. They were from Europe.
Well, technically they were barbarians because barbarians were just people who wore pants.
That's true. People who wear pants. Genghis Khan.
Yes.
Yeah, the reason why the Finnish language is a little bit different from the rest of Scandinavia is because Genghis Khan deposited a lot of injured
inbreeding going
soldiers
on
there. So, all right. But what was I saying? So you hear these things in the movies and you go, well, that's just in the movies. But then you go, that sounds a lot like for example, well, I just read this thing. The guys are going, we could probably travel at light speed or near light speed if we could create this warp bubble. And then if you read what they explain, they're saying, oh shit, the ash just the mic, and it's in my scotch. Hold on. And if you read the article, what they say is that you create this bubble, this warp bubble around the object. Let's say it's the spaceship or whatever it is. And then what happens is you're actually, I forget how they explain it exactly, but you're taking space-time and like you're manipulating space and time around the bubble, which is a lot like in Dune. The way they got places was by folding space. Now they were able to fold in Dune. They folded space. Travel. There were these advanced beings in Dune who knew how to mentally. They had these like psycho whatever powers that they mentally could fold space around the ship,
which the government has already worked on for a long time with their mind control powers.
Right. So maybe what happens in the movies, two different possibilities. One is the people behind the people at Hollywood are tapped into whatever's really going on,
obviously,
between the aliens and the global elites, and they go, hey, you know what? We could use that shit to make good movies. That's good story material. Or maybe perhaps even they're doing it intentionally to kind of warm us up to certain ideas so that when it unfolds in the real world, it already sounds kind of familiar to us.
When you finally have sex, you're like, yeah.
What is that? There's always got to be sex with you.
Sex. Yeah.
I think we're getting to the end of this. Are we getting to the end of this? What else can we say? I'm sure whoever was watching has stopped watching by now, so at this point we can say whatever we want. Because we passed up the 1 hour mark, which means nobody's listening.
No. Palestine, Israel, who you got?
All I'm saying is never bet against Israel.
No.
They have
America.
They have a winning record.
Yeah, for a long time.
I mean, they don't have the Ark anymore to go out and shoot lightning bolts at people.
No.
But they have a lot of other shit.
Now they have green lasers. Brought to you by America.
Mm-hmm. But but is it possible that all these skirmishes, all these conflicts, all these tensions between different nations and everything is all just a ruse? Because we know that the Rothschilds, the bankers, the Rothschilds figured out in the 1800s that if they would, so, and if you read, who's that guy that wrote the book, None Dare Call It Conspiracy? He was the guy, I can't think of his name right now. None Dare Call It Conspiracy. When he started researching that book, his intent was to write a book. This was in the 70s, post, it was not long after all of the, there's a communist under every rock and the McCarthyism and all that. And his intent was to basically research and write a book that debunked all of this right-wing conspiratorial, shit. And he ended up saying...
Gary Allen.
He ended up saying, discovering that there's a lot of shit going on here that...
the big culture movement of the 60s was all conducted and brought about by the FBI. in the
Sure.
CIA.
Yeah.
So that's like one level of it.
Right. So, but one of the things that he first discovered was that in his research, he was like, well, in the 1800s, the international banks figured out that, once you can only make so much money off of people as a bank, but there's a lot more money to be made from governments.
Well, yeah,
that's where the real money
wars,
is. Well,
specifically.
and the best way to make money from governments is to get them into a war. And then they figured out that if they financed both sides of the war, they could make money from both sides. So that's like the beginning of, of an indication that perhaps this is all bullshit. All these conflicts and tensions. Now you bring the aliens into that picture.
Demons.
And it gets really interesting.
We should do an episode on that.
No, none of our regular people would be willing. Well, Ration might, but nobody else wants to do an episode on that.
Oh, I was making a joke like we're not already doing an episode on that right now.
Oh yeah, we are doing an episode on that. All right, so what have we settled here?
Aliens are demons. They're in cahoots with world governments to globalize the world and unify the evils of it to create a portal to hell.
Seems solid. Just an alien. Don't mind me, I'm just an alien. Gonna help you. Gonna help you with your everything to do with living on this planet. Just an alien, trust me. Trust me, I'm an alien. I'm from the solar system, and I'm here to help. I should have said galaxy. I'm from the galaxy.